Hello, ARC family. Welcome to the ARC Journey. Today we have Dr. Mitch Johnson with us. Mitch is the pastor of the McMechen Church of God, and they are in the midst. If you've seen The Advocate, you've seen the article about the reconstruction that's happening there. So Mitch is in the middle of a building project or rebuild after a very tragic event, and uh, and he's also doing something called Dinner Church, which is an incredible outreach into the community and seems to be a pretty effective way in helping to make disciples. So I think we want to hear a little bit about both of those things. How's the reconstruction going since The Advocate? I know that even though that just came out, that was at least a month or a month and a half ago before it even came out.
It was an awesome article on it, and we were just so appreciative to the General Conference as they highlighted both the Allegheny Region Conference in this recent journey, with the Advocate, but also, many months ago, Jacob Clegg got a hold of us and wanted to know, what's the continuing story of what's going on. So, hey, right here with you, Phil, the doctor's in the house today. So, hey, praise God. So, but yeah, we are coming to the end of phase 2 of the rebuilding project. We've got some rock to do on the outside of the church, and we're kind of looking at whether we're going to do 2 sides or all 4 sides, just as a cost-saving measure right now. A lot of money involved in putting that rock on the side of the building to make it look good. That comes up about 4 or 5 feet on both the north and the east side, and then comes up considerably more on both the west and the south side. So, we're looking at what we can do to kind of save some money to build, but don't want to get ourselves in a bind where we don't finish something either. We're trying to finish each phase as we go through. So, phase 3 is the process of what we're just now beginning to get into. So we do not have a date in mind. I would love to have a homecoming. Let's come out. Here's what we're doing. Here's the date it's happening. Everybody show up. Let's celebrate. We don't have that yet. But phase 3 is like all the inside stuff, as far as like HVAC, the electric, the plumbing. Okay. And then, we're trying to find some places where we can involve the people in the church that, want to help. If you can put up insulation, if you can put up drywall, if you can put up trim and doors, those are kinds of things that we're looking at. And so, that's presently where we're at right now.
So if any of you are considering a building project or an expansion, I highly recommend you call Dr. Johnson and you get some hands-on thoughts, experience. He's going to give you a lot of insight of do's and don'ts. And
especially the don'ts. I mean, we've spent almost 7 years, in this process. And what's exciting is the last year's been fantastic. The last year's been exciting. We've seen movement. That's our word for the year as a church is movement. We're seeing movement. So, but yeah, we can definitely give you some insights, especially a lot of the don'ts. We've learned. Not a lot of our churches have gone through, complete devastation kind of things like this and rebuilding. I've thought about, writing a book after this thing's over, but, hope that's a book that would only be a specific crowd, and, and we wouldn't pray that on anybody.
No, right.
But we are grateful for everybody who's been praying for us, those that have sent donations and things. Let me tell you something. It's just remarkable to see God's people step up and step out.
Awesome. So you've also been doing something called Dinner Church. So
absolutely.
This is I think this is pretty exciting to me. I know it has grown, or at least some of the roots come from the Fresh Expressions moment.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think either people haven't heard about it, don't know how to do it, or it just seems like another dinner, feed the homeless. And talk to us about it.
Well, it's a long ways from feeding the homeless, but it is something that the churches of God are really good at. Let's get together and have a meal. But I liken it to what Jesus did with his disciples. You know, a lot of people say, well, how's this church? How's this worship? How's this what Jesus did? Jesus got together and ate with his disciples on a regular basis, sometimes out in the middle of the woods, sometimes along the roadway. Sometimes it was in somebody's house that was opened up to. And so they would sit down, eat a meal around the table. And we always say it's church around the table like Jesus did with his disciples. And that's kind of the mantra that we had been working on for a long time. This was not an overnight, hey, let's just do this next Sunday. There was a lot of thought in this. There was a lot of training that went on behind the scenes. There was a lot of prayer time. You know, I spent a lot of time as a pastor talking with each leader, you know, when they would say, hey, well, what is this about? And just kind of, you know, giving them kind of some breakdowns of what we wanted to do with it. And that is, we wanted to provide, and this is a tough one for a lot of churches, wanted to provide another door for people to come into church, to come into the ministry, and to join us in the family of God. Now, most people understand, and we have set this, at least currently, that we do this once a month. We do this on the last Sunday of each month. And we put out a little thing for several weeks ahead of time, just letting people know that's when we're going to do. And so there's several things that are kind of happening now at the same time. One is I'm talking to people, inviting people. Number one reason people come to church, they're invited. Okay. You know, so don't ever underestimate, you know, even if you don't get anything out of this, keep inviting people to church. But we put out a list of the food. I've got one of our ladies that does our dinners on a regular basis for other things. And she's just like grabbed a hold of this. My wife and I put the first dinner together. It was overwhelming. It was just like, I can't believe we're doing this, you know? And, you know, we fixed it up for about 35, 40 people. We're like, I hope they show, or we're going to have surplus all week long, you know? And so we set up the meal. Since then, you know, since September of last year, she has put the meals together and the ideas behind and the themes to go with the dinners. And we have just been blessed. One of the things that we sit down with, and I was very upfront with our church about, if you're only coming to this because you're curious, don't come. We didn't want you to come. And a lot of people were even kind of, and I said that early enough in the process that people were able to give me feedback and say, you know, why don't you want me there? And it's like, well, what are you coming for? Well, I just want to see what this is about. But you're a church member. You're coming to church. I don't want you there. You know, do you want to serve? This is where we turn to the table. Do you want to serve? Do you want to be a part of helping the people that come through the door? Do you want to be there to minister to them? So likewise, don't sit with a bunch of church people at a different table. We've even changed the tables set up, you know, so that we don't get that as much. But go sit amongst those that are coming in visiting, people you don't know. Go interact with them. You know, that's the whole idea behind it. So what we did is we set up, you know, and we feel like this is a biblical thing. Jesus ate meals and talked shop, talked kingdom with his disciples around the table. That's the whole idea about dinner church. Most of you know that most people that are coming to church today come probably once a month. And even if they're a visitor, they're probably going to come once a month. So we're taking advantage of that right now. We do have some plans to kick this out a little bit different, but we invite people on the last Sunday of the month, come church, come to here, you know, and what inevitably, Phil, they'll always ask, can I bring something? You know, so the moment they say that, I know we got them. You know, I know they're coming, okay? Because they're going to bring something, you know, and I always give them something easy. Bring a dessert, you know, bring a side dish or something like that, that, you know, kind of goes with the meal. And so they come, they sit in here, and then a particular evening at dinner church kind of looks like this. We just do an opening prayer for the meal. People get up, go get their meal. We let our guests go first, you know, that way, you know, if we're close on the food, and, you know, and we've never been close on the food. You know, it gets all ate, but, you know, everybody has plenty, you know. And so one of the things out of that is they come back and eat. And at about halfway through the evening, we say, hey, you know, go fill up your dessert plate again. Go fill up your coffee cup. Go get something to drink. Come back. We're getting ready to start with kind of the worship aspect of this. And this is where we've got the buy-in from our church. I don't preach at these things. Okay. And pastors, can I say this? You need to get over being the guy that has to be up there in front talking all the time. Because what I've got a bunch of people in my church that have God stories.
Yes.
And Phil, let me tell you something. Some of these folks have shared some of these stories so far with Dinner Church, and it never fails. The right people are there sharing the right story with the right crowd. It's almost like every time. So, who knows? God knows. So then we normally have somebody who comes and worships, plays a guitar, sings a song, whatever. And we've had, these are all volunteer. These are people, they're coming to serve. They're coming to serve the meal, but they're coming to serve in worship, sing a song, share what God's doing on their heart. And then we come back and we do a little bit of prayer with the folks. We do a little bit of, here's what other ministries are going on with their church. We'd love to have you come to some of the other things. And then we have that same person that opened up with kind of a special or a song that they're singing. And sometimes people are humming along, singing along with it. They know the song. They close up and then, that's it. It's just a simple little dedication to worship. And a lot of people look at it and say, well, that didn't seem like church. But it wasn't church as we know it. It's a church that is an opening door. So it's a little different. It feels different, but people, and this is one of the things that we confirm with it, is we just remind people as they're leaving the place, man, it was so glad to have you worship with us today. It was so glad to have you in church with us today, and this is in the evening. So, I'm really excited about what it looks like right now. I think the big piece that we've done is that we had to set this aside ahead of time and tell people you're going to serve if you come. And the crowd that has come in and been served is so exciting because it's given people a place in our church to go serve somebody else. And so we're getting people stepping up, using their gifts, okay, sharing the word of God, preaching. Just because you are the preacher in the church does not mean you are the only person that has the message of God. And so we're getting people comfortable sharing Jesus with people, getting them. I've got people that are shaking, scared to death. Said I was shaking. Couldn't you tell? I said I couldn't tell. They were probably shaking inside, but God had them. God had them in that word. So it's just been so exciting. We've seen several people come through the doors of different things. We've seen adults that grew up as kids in our church and have kind of left, and some of those have been coming back, and they're bringing their kids with them and sitting around the table. Okay. We've got neighbors from around the church that have been in and out of the church for a while, but, have come, to this. The neat thing I see is that we've got some husbands of some wives that have been coming. And this is kind of open. In fact, one of our guys now, he helps his wife with kids' church on Sunday morning, and he started coming through this, and so, it's so exciting in that sense. We've got a group that one of our ladies works as an employment with ladies that are at risk, that have addiction to issues, have been abused, things like this. We get a good crowd of those every month that come out. And so we've got people that are getting to know them, encouraging them. They're having confidence that Christ is on their side in the midst of their conflicts. And then we just got people that are coming to check out the church. I heard you guys were doing this dinner church. I just wanted to come see what was going on. So, we are really excited about these things, because it's, and let me say this, it's just one thing that we're doing among a bunch of other groups and a bunch of other ministry. We have our Saturday night service and we have our Sunday morning service. And here last month, between our Saturday night service and our Sunday morning service and our dinner church, that weekend, we had more people in church in a long time than we'd had in almost 5.5 years. And since we were actually in the school straight after the fire, almost 6 years. So God's blessing us,
in amazing ways. in
Amen.
amazing ways. I think that's just awesome. So
Yeah.
I think one of the things is we have this creative capacity God has given to us.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
we've got to continue to expand ways that people can connect with the church and experience church in a real way. And
Yeah.
this does that. I think the second thing that if nobody hears, they need to hear it loud and clear, is that this is another on-ramp for people to begin to um, use their God-given gifts in a capacity that will actually help them to disciple other people
Oh,
while they
absolutely.
are being discipled.
Absolutely. Because the best way to learn how to do it is Jesus, would talk in his around the table with his disciples, his dinner church. He would say, "Hey, tomorrow I'm sending you guys out in a couple pairs and go do this." And so the experiential piece of this, going out and experiencing it, going out and doing it, has great value. People come back and say, "Well, I wish I'd have said it this way or that way." I don't hear that. I hear people come back and say, "Hey, so and so come up and congratulated me or thanked me for sharing that, how it touched their life." There's not a lot of second guessing here. And I think that's important. As we're moving forward with the church and people they know they're being taught. We did a lot of teaching outside of even Sunday morning, Saturday night when we were on camera, for the services, for our streaming or our Facebook. We did a lot of things of just prep work, teaching. This is what we expect. This is what we want you to do. And so they went and did it. If you will take time and you will teach, I believe this, your people will, in your churches, will respond.
You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing today. And
Yeah.
we just wish God's blessings on you. Thank you for the example. Thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions about dinner church, how to do it, what's the run up to it, how to make it
Yeah.
happen, follow up, all that kind of stuff, give Mitch a phone call. If you have a building project, give Mitch a phone
Yeah.
call.
Well, and our next step in all this is, one, finish the building, to have no time on that. But the next step with dinner church is we want people that are participating in dinner church to start taking it to their homes. That's going to be the next step for us. And we don't know if that's going to happen within a couple of months or next year. But always look ahead, keep dreaming, keep shining. I think somebody says that every now and then.
That's right. All right, everyone. It keeps shining, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for the great example, Mitch. Keep on doing it, man. Keep shining. Bye-bye.